Welcome to Paramount HVAC's Marketing That Works in 29 minutes or less. Today we're going to talk about the 7 most important marketing questions that as an HVAC business owner that you can ask to make sure that you have a very well-planned marketing plan. Today my purpose is to help you with your sales and profits, to help you beat your competition, and to show you how your marketing can be free. Also along the way, we want to be sure we are creating an amazing client base. The true value in a company is not your trucks, not your tools, but really your customer base, because your clients, your customers, are what's going to lead you forward and help you grow your business and lead you to profits. Who am I? My name is Rick Munson. I'm one of the principals of Paramount HVAC. My experience has been in turnarounds, working for multinational corporations. However, for the last nearly 12 years, I've been working as a business and executive coach, helping private business owners grow their business. And in many cases, yes, HVAC businesses. So here are some misconceptions about marketing, and you've probably heard them all, or you've probably said them yourself. You say, well, I need to go to school to learn how to do marketing. First off, no you don't. Marketing is very simple. It's hard work, but it's very easy to understand. The second thing is many people believe that marketing is a black art, meaning they can't figure it out, or meaning that it's a bunch of hocus pocus and witchcraft. In this session, we're going to show you how marketing is very straightforward and it's very understandable if you do a few key things. The next item that many people believe is that marketing is a necessary expense, and they do it mainly because their competitors do it, and they think about it as a defensive mode. We like to think of marketing as an offensive mode, because through marketing, this is how you're going to learn to grow your company and beat your competition. And sometimes, yes, it is an expensive expense, but it doesn't have to be that way, because we believe the best marketing methods are the low-cost, no-cost methods that get you in front of your customers' eyeballs. Some people believe it's a hit-and-miss exercise. We do agree that marketing requires experimentation, but marketing, if done right, is very straightforward, and if you're measuring and testing all along the way, you'll learn what works for your company and your market. Many times people say, well, Rick, just tell me what works for my company. The truth is, every market's different, every company's different, and what may have worked in Philadelphia is not necessarily going to work in a New York suburb. The next item is, a lot of people say, well, half the money I spend on marketing is wasted. I just wish I knew which half. Again, what we need to focus on is measuring and testing your market to see in your market for what you're doing, what is the marketing that's actually working. So let's talk about how we're going to do it. First thing, I want to set the record straight on a couple items. Number one, your accountant will tell you that marketing is an expense. And a lot of times accountants want to cut marketing, or they believe it's one of those unnecessary expenses. However, and by the way, your CPA or your tax accountant is correct. It is an expense as allowed by the IRS. However, we will tell you that marketing is really an investment in your company and in the growth of your company. And as an investment, what I mean is for every dollar spent, you should get more money back in terms of business and, yes, profits. However, it's only going to work if you're measuring and testing and selectively trying different things and making sure you can identify what is working and what is not. So the truth about marketing is marketing should be free. And as you're digesting that, you're probably wondering, what the heck is he talking about? What I mean is that for every dollar spent, you should have more money come in. So that not only will it cover the cost of the original marketing, but it will also provide a net profit at the end of the marketing program. So it's true that we're going to have to experiment with your company and your market to figure out what works. But if we do this in a controlled, measure it as we go method, you will not spend hundreds of thousands of dollars or even thousands of dollars wastefully. Every penny will be spent in a measured, controlled way. Really, marketing is the mathematics of going out to the market and buying customers. That may sound cold and callous, but from an entrepreneur's point of view, that is how we do marketing. So how do we make sure marketing is an investment and not an expense? The most important way is by measuring and testing. So all along the marketing plan, we're going to measure to see what works. We're going to test things. Have you ever heard of test marketing? Companies like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Anheuser-Busch do it all the time. We're going to do it the same way. Obviously, we're going to do it on a much smaller scale. And as you see from the picture in the corner, when things blow up, of course, we're only going to have risk a small amount of money. And when things blow up like that, we're going to stop doing it immediately. Again, we have no crystal ball. We can't say with any surety what will and won't work in your market. However, there are a lot of things in today's world that we know do not work. For example, one of them is the yellow book. Yes, the yellow book is dead. And I may get a lot of grief for saying this, but if you're marketing in the yellow book, I would highly advise you stop it right now. So let's go back to the basics and let's say, what is marketing? Well, marketing is actually very simple. And while a lot of marketing people, especially marketing consultants, make it sound big and scary like that black art, marketing is really only two things. First off, marketing is communication. Marketing is you communicating with your target market about your company, about your services, about how you're different. More about that in a minute, but it's communication and it's also education. So we're educating our potential buyers on a lot of things, like what we offer, why they should use us. Maybe it's a special deal, a discount, an end of season deal, whatever, but it's all educating our potential customers. So let's talk about building that marketing campaign. The first question that we absolutely have to know is we have to understand, what is my budget? In other words, how much money do I have to invest? Many times people come to us and they say, well, how much should I spend? That's hard to know. A lot of it is, how much money do you have? How much money are you willing to risk? How fast do you want to grow? Sometimes we like to look at it as a percentage of sales, but again, there's no hard and fast exact answers. But typically, a marketing budget for a young, growing company should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 to 10% of sales. But again, it depends on how much you can afford. It doesn't do much for me to say you should do 10%, when in reality, you might only have 3% that you're able to invest. One of the quickest ways that companies fail, and everybody agrees with this, is having a lack of capitalization or lack of money. So the way that lack of money hurts you the worst is when you don't have money to invest in marketing. It's hard to grow a company without spending money to get customers. So first question, what is my budget? Second question is, what makes me different? Occasionally we run into business owners that say, well, I don't care about my customers. I don't care about what makes me different. I just want to grow my company. Well, our first question is, well, how do you expect to do that if you're not different than Joe down the street? They already know about Joe down the street. How are they going to learn about you, and what makes them want to pick you instead of Joe down the street? One of the things that we know in today's world is consumers have many choices, and in today's internet world, they are ever more aware of their choices today than they have ever been. So the internet has made shopping, if you will, or looking for a new service provider extremely easy. So in the sea of a lot of competitors, we have to be very diligent about making sure that we tell everybody how we're different and why we're the best choice. Because if we're running a company and we're trying to grow a company, one of our biggest goals is for them to choose us over Joe down the street. So the way we do this is we talk about things called USPs, or unique selling propositions. In other words, it's what is your differentiators in a business. Why would people choose you over someone else? So a USP for your company needs to be truly unique. In other words, it needs to set you apart. Preferably, it's going to be something exciting to your target market. Look at all your other companies. Look at how you can be different. look at a way that you can differentiate yourself. It needs to be items that make your competitors look silly or like a bad choice or ineffective. The other thing is it needs to be something that gets people excited or something that gets people talking. Again, you're trying to get them to desire to use you. At the same time, when you're doing your USPs, you want to make sure you're not copying somebody else. And it's really great if you can be bold about something and come out and make a statement that no one else can make without it being an obvious ripoff and without people knowing that you've copied them or copied someone else. USPs, if you haven't spent time on that, sit down and look at your biggest competitors in your marketplace, figure out how you're going to be different, figure out how you're going to compete. So the next question is who? And what I mean by that is, who is my target market going to be? So usually when we have this conversation, people get all nervous because they think they're going to miss something. And oftentimes companies say, well, everybody that has an air conditioner or heating system can be my customer. Okay, well, what if they're 200 miles away? Can they be your customer? What if they have a brand of equipment that you don't know how to service, or maybe they have a certain situation that you're unable to replace their equipment? So I'm using some crazy examples, but the point is not everybody is your desired customer. What if they're tire kickers? What if they never do anything but they just go around collecting prices? What if they're the lowest bottom dollar guy? Do you really want that person? What if there's somebody that you have to chase for months and months to get them to pay your bill? So we strongly advise not everybody is your target market. So what we want to do is we want to make a list of our target market, whether that's by geography, by type of home, by type of service, by type of equipment. There's all kinds of differentiators that you can use to differentiate the customers you want to do business with and the people you don't want to do business with. It'll save you money if you don't advertise to the people you don't want to do business with. A long time ago, I was working with a car repair shop, and they were running radio ads on a very popular country music station that probably covered, and I don't know the exact number, but I'm going to just take a wild guess, probably covered about 2,000 square miles. The truth was, as a car repair shop, most of your market is within a 3 to 5 mile radius, either of their home or of their workplace. So what was happening in that case, they were spending big bucks on a radio advertising campaign to advertise to 85% of the clientele that would never be their customer. So they spent a lot of money to address a very small portion of that radio station's market that could be their target market. So the other thing is, in targets, sometimes you get those outer rings. You're going to aim for the bullseye. Sometimes you get those outer rings, and that's fine. The outer rings are okay. That's what we call collateral damage, or that's kind of like we often say, well, they came in too because of a friend or whatever. But the idea of marketing, to keep, especially at the beginning, to keep your costs low, is to be very selective about your target market. One of the biggest myths in target marketing is everybody says you need one target market. We believe that it's possible to have several target markets, what we call chunks. You might have a certain area of town. You might have a certain socioeconomic slice. You might be a member of a church, and you might focus on that church. You might be a member of a business group. You might focus on that business group. But again, you can have multiple chunks that are your target market. So that answers the who. The next question is, where are they? And this can be from a geographic point of view. It can be, from a social circle point of view. It can be from many different concepts. But the point is, where do you find them in their greatest concentration? When we think about HVAC, we often think about driving. We think about making sure our service area is addressable in an affordable way, meaning we don't have people driving an hour and a half for a service job. So the geography question is always the easiest one, but the where can be many other different things as well. The next question we have to ask is, what am I going to market? Or another way to look at it is, what is the deal? What's my offer? You know, it might be a excuse me, it might be a early fall tune-up. It might be a tune-up before heating season comes. That's an offer. It might be a service plan at a 20% off for new customers. That's an offer. But we really have to first make sure we understand what we want to market. You know, are we marketing service plans? Are we marketing service? Are we marketing equipment replacement for the energy dealers? Are we marketing the first fill up? Are we marketing for a fill up before October 1st? What exactly are we marketing? What's the point of the marketing? What we don't want to do is do that Chinese marketing menu where we put marketing out there and it lists all 400 things that we do as a company. One of my friends runs an automotive repair place. He works on my truck. And one of the things he did when I first met him is he'd say, we do oil changes, we rotate tires, we do brake jobs, we do exhaust jobs, we do tune-ups. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, Tom, exactly. And everybody else in your marketplace does the same thing. Tell me how you're different. Tell me what specific service you can do that no one else can do. In his case, he had just bought a brand new state-of-the-art bear alignment system. So he decided his what was going to be alignments with his new equipment. It turned out to be a smashing success. So the next question I want you to really go back to and answer, and this correlates to our USP, but it might be even more specific based on what we want to market, but it's the why. We want to answer the why question. Why would they use us? Why should they buy this particular service or product from us? You know, for example, if you're selling, you know, mini split ductless systems, why would they want that? What is specific about a ductless system that people would like about it that would encourage them to buy it? You know, if it's your oil over someone else's oil, why would they want your oil? What's specific about it? You know, what's specific about your service? Maybe you do evening deliveries, maybe you do Sunday deliveries. That's a why. Why use me for this product or service? So then the last question, and honestly, the hardest question, is the how question. And that question boils down to, how am I going to get my message in front of my target customers? And as this tree shows, in today's world, there has never been more ways to get your message in front of a customer. I mean, when we think about social media, email, radio, TV, all the standard methods, and then we get even further into, you know, specific social media. You know, do you want to advertise on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn? And I could go on forever. And this, honestly, the rest of the questions are easier to answer. This is the trickiest question. And this is where we really need to focus on our testing and our measuring, because we might try Facebook and see how well that works. We might try direct mail. We might try radio. I mean, there's many, and even within radio, for example, you know, you can go with streaming radio, you can go with satellite radio, or standard old-fashioned broadcast radio. So the how is probably the most tricky part. As a baseline, I advise you to look around, see which of your competitors are doing well, see how they're marketing. You know, copying is the most sincere form of flattery, but sometimes we like to do our own marketing R&D. I don't know if you guys know what R&D is. The old term used to be research and development. In private business, we call it rob and duplicate. So yeah, maybe we go out there and see how our competitors are marketing. Maybe it gives us tips. Again, every market, every town, every area is different in terms of what people respond to and what's going to be successful. I have no magic crystal ball. I have no magic wand. But what we do have is a method of testing and measuring, which over time will absolutely work. So the next question that often comes is they say, well, should I put all my eggs in one basket? Absolutely, the answer to that is no. So we believe in a concept called the 10 by 10. And what I mean by that is, just like if you were going to buy stocks and bonds for your retirement account, you would want to diversify those investments. Since marketing is an investment in your company, we want to also diversify your marketing. I would never want you to go out there and put all your eggs in one basket from the very beginning. So what we talk about loosely is we want to invest in 10 different ways of marketing, and we want to invest maybe 10% of our resources, I'll come back to that in a second, 10% of our resources on each one of the 10 ways, so that I'm going to spend my marketing budget on 10 different things. Now, what do I mean by resources? Obviously, as a business owner, you know that one resource is money, but another resource is time. It might be your personal time, it might be one of your teammates' time, but time is money and time is an investment as well. So what we encourage you to do is to diversify your marketing and to keep track of it and to measure it. So, we have a very simple form, a very simple spreadsheet that you can use to actually keep track of all your marketing investments, how much your money you're spending on each one, and track your leads from each one. So not only do we need to track our leads, but we also need to track how successful we are with converting that lead category into closed customers. For example, years ago in the era of yellow book ads, a yellow book ad, if you could convert 25% of those into closed customers, that was pretty good. And when we would do our budgeting for marketing, we would assume 25%. Conversely, if you get a lot of referrals in your business, typically we can expect a conversion rate from lead to customer of over 50% for referrals. Sometimes we get conversion rate of 70 and 80%. So typically in a marketing plan, having a referral strategy in place is one of your most valuable marketing strategies, and it typically provides you with the most valuable results because a referral is most often a closed piece of business. So what are some lead strategies that you might want to pursue? There's many different lead strategies that we can pursue. Sorry, I think my screen is messed up a little bit. But what happens is, hang on a second, there's a number of lead strategies there. It cleared up for you. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. That seems to be normal. But there's many different lead strategies that work well for an HVAC company and an oil company. The most successful strategy of all times is marketing to your existing customers. Whether you're marketing a cap plan, an auto plan, a service plan, or the newer style ductless mini split systems, your current customers that are already doing business with you are always the most likely ones to do business again or to do more business. So the best ways to reach them typically are email campaigns. That's the lowest cost. However, in today's world, we like to do a multi-mode approach. So maybe you do emails and postcards. Maybe you can even do telemarketing if allowed by law. Marketing to old leads is always a great strategy. People that you had as a lead at one time but didn't close. Market service plans, that gets you an avenue to get in the door. Working on search engine optimizations for your websites. Make sure you have a good website. I reviewed some websites this morning. I was amazed at all the misspellings I found on one website. I was amazed on another website how it just really looked terrible and it really gave an unfinished feeling. If somebody comes to your website and it looks unfinished, how are they going to feel about the work you do? Social media, I think I mentioned that already. Make sure you're getting great Google reviews. Google reviews are the lifeblood of a lot of businesses today. Direct mail advertising does still work, especially if you're doing things like postcards. The post office does this thing they call EDDM, or everyday direct mail. Very efficient, inexpensive way to do marketing to, say, geographical areas. Purchase list. If you live in a town and you want to advertise to everybody, go to a mail list and buy a list. Strategic alliances. If you're in the HVAC business, form relationships with people that do other home services, landscapers, roofers, flooring companies, etc. Yes, get out and network. Make sure you take every advantage you can to network with other business owners. Start a company newsletter. There's many newsletter resources on the internet. Build referral programs. It's probably one of the best investments and lowest cost, quite frankly. Excuse me. Take advantage of expos, shows, fairs, etc. And make sure you have a great signage on your building and on your vehicles. Your vehicles are moving billboards up and down the road every day. Make sure you're taking advantage of that. So what's the bottom line? How do we summarize this? Well, number one, I hope you walk away knowing that marketing is math. Make sure you create a plan before you buy advertising. The other thing is the advertising rep that came into your door yesterday or this morning, that's not your marketing person. That's not your marketing consultant. Even though they call themselves marketing consultants, they're really just trying to sell what they have to sell. Excuse me. Again, please remember to measure and test. Make sure you know your marketing numbers. Make sure you have an effective USP for your marketing success, and make marketing an investment, not an expense, meaning start the game expecting to get a return, and that will help guide your thinking. And yes, on the 10 by 10, you need to grind through the numbers. It is some work, it is some detail, but your effort will be richly rewarded with results. You know, remember, everyone wants to get to heaven, but a lot of times nobody wants to do the work to get to heaven, and nobody wants to die. Have fun with it. It's really a learning exercise. It's something that will benefit your company, something that will help your company grow. And if you have more questions, call Paramount. Call myself. I'm Rick Munson again. My contact information is on this screen. It's on our website. You can either go to ParamountHVACLLC.com, or our parent website is ParamountBusinessDevelopment.com. I hope this helps. I hope you've written down your learnings, and I hope you put everything in action. Thank you.